Hi, my name is Kat. I I'm making this video not only for therapy for myself, but for maybe other people out there who's gone through or is going through what I went through, still dealing with. You know, um, I met a man, and we spoke pretty much every day for a few months, and I had a bad feeling, but I liked him, and I ignored my feeling, and we got together. At first, everything was great. He was sweet and he was loving, and he was just mostly what you could ask for in a guy. And then all of a sudden, a few months into our relationship, he became very controlling, verbally abusive, and he became very jealous. Never once did I ever even think about cheating on that man. But he was convinced that I was sleeping with everybody he knew. Neighbors, friends, even my family, my co-workers. Didn't matter. If they were male, I had to be sleeping with them. I just had to be. Everything I did was wrong. Everything I said was wrong. If I looked in one direction too long, I was looking for some guy. If I zoned out, just sitting there, I've always done that. I've always just kind of zoned out, looking at stuff, just thinking. I do that a lot. If I did that, I was looking at somebody. He would find some male, I don't care if he was a mile away, he would find some male that I was looking at. If I looked in the direction of my neighbor's house, I was sleeping with my neighbor. If I went to go hang out with my family, I was sleeping with my stepdad. If I went to work, I was sleeping with a co-worker. And I was pregnant. And it seemed like, at first, it just seemed like he had been through a really bad relationship and just had some issues, and maybe in time he would get through it and stop being like that. But he only got worse. He only got worse. I remember one time I was at the hospital with my son until 3 a.m. I had called him a couple hours earlier and told him that they were transferring his rooms and then I'd be headed home. But when we transferred rooms, the nurses asked me to stay for a little bit because they had people that wanted to talk to me. Asked me some questions about my son's condition. My phone was dead. And so I didn't bother calling him. I figured he'd be in bed already. And it was 3 a.m. when I got home. Well, apparently, I got home, he wasn't there. And so I just laid down. He comes in the door, screaming at me, swearing up and down that I had not been at the hospital, that I was lying to him, that I had been out sucking some guy's penis, and because he apparently showed up at the hospital probably minutes after I left, and I wasn't there because I had left already. He hit me in the back of the head so hard that night I had to go to the hospital because I had a concussion. This man sexually abused me. It was ridiculous, the things he did to me. I had a panic attack one night, and I thought I was going to pass out. And I told him. And he looked me dead in my eyes and told me I'd wake up. That was his response. You'll wake up. He didn't believe me. He thought I was lying. Just like he thought I was lying about my back issues. Turned out I had a bulging disc in my back that I found out about after I left him. He thought I lied about everything. He would run out around, hang out with whoever he wanted to hang out with, do whatever he wanted to do, show up when he wanted to show up. But heaven forbid if I walked to the convenience store without telling him. Because if I did, I was meeting somebody. After I had the baby, he had become abusive physically. If he'd have hit me while I was pregnant, that would have been over right there. But he didn't. He started after I had the baby, and I didn't let it last long when I left him. The problem was he made me feel like I was trapped, like there was no way out. He wouldn't leave me alone. He wouldn't leave. He would tell me, just tell me if you want me to leave. But he'd flip out if I wanted him to. It was really bad. And it hurt because I cared about him. I ended up in a mess with the landlord that I had and moved into a hotel room for 2 weeks, hiding out from him. Him steadily blowing up my phone 40, 50, 60 times every day, trying to make me come home. I lost love for him long before I left him. I just didn't see any way out. But I finally made my way out. He continued to try to contact me over and over and over again. He found out where I moved to. His baby mama just so happened to move in right down the street from me, along with him. He continued to text me all the way up till almost a year later without me answering him. I blocked like 4 Facebooks. I ignored his calls, texts, everything. He just wouldn't fucking go away. My life was shattered. I was constantly worried that something was going to happen. I was worried for my kids. I was worried for my family. Right before I permanently left him, he put a gun to me. Told me he'd blow my brains out. And I looked him in his eyes and I told him I wished you would, because then I wouldn't have to do this anymore. I promised my kids I'd find a way out, and I did. Because as soon as that behavior started showing up in front of my kids, he told me he would kill me right in front of my children. I won't stand for that. You ain't gonna scare my kids. It's not gonna happen. That was it. You don't scare my children. I don't even believe in arguing in front of kids, let alone telling me you're gonna kill me in front of my kids. So I left him and I moved on. But I was constantly afraid to date again. Still am. I have anxiety attacks thinking about dating because I'm so concerned that I'm going to end up with somebody just like him. And here it is a year and a half later. And I'm getting ready to go out on my first date. And I'm scared out of my wits. The nightmares have come back. I keep having nightmares about him and flashbacks and panic attacks. All because I'm trying to go out on a date. But I'm not going to let it hold me down. I'm not going to keep letting him have that control over me. I'm too independent and I'm too strong to let a man hold me down. I will prevail. I'm nervous right now. I'm afraid to date again. But I'm going to because it's time. And my hair's all poofy. Just know you're not alone. I've been through it too. A couple times actually. And it was hard. And I thought I cared about them. I thought they cared about me. I thought I wasn't good enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't trying hard enough. But you know what? It wasn't me. And it's not you. And if you haven't walked away yet, if I can get out, you can get out too. It's possible. And you should. Your kids should never have to see that. You should never have to deal with that. You are beautiful. And somebody out there will love you the way that you're supposed to be loved. Somebody somewhere will. And you know what I discovered? Being alone is so much better than dealing with that. I don't care if I was alone for the rest of my life. I still wouldn't want to deal with that. I'd rather be alone. Don't let anybody, nobody, no man, no woman, whoever your abuser may be, don't ever let them convince you that nobody else but them wants you. Because that's what they'll try to do to keep you. And they'll cry and they'll beg, but they'll never change. They never do. It's not going to happen. Walk away. Just walk away. Get help getting out. People are out there to help you. You just got to get them. I call children's services on myself to get help out. I had an abuse counselor. There's people out there that can help you get away. Don't ever think it's not possible. And don't ever think you deserve it. You don't. It doesn't matter what you did. You don't deserve it. Doesn't matter. You shouldn't have made him angry. Why do you do this? Yeah. I hear all of those things. I love you and I'll change. I promise. I promise. I'll go to anger management. I'll stop drinking or I'll stop doing drugs or whatever. They don't change. They don't change. It's always all your fault. until they realize you ain't trying to hear that. Then they're going to cry and whine and beg and plead and try everything they can to make you feel bad. Don't fall for it. They don't change. Ever. Doesn't happen. Walk away.